So, how to generate profitable offer ideas? Ideas are the bread and butter of the company. A great idea will skyrocket a company quickly to seven figures, more quickly than you can imagine. And your offer to your consumers will keep the business engine running. The five most innovative companies in the world, as reported by Forbes, are Amazon, Google, Uber, Apple, and Snap. These companies are valued in the hundreds of billions and transact hundreds of millions a day. But how do these companies start? Well, with an idea. Apple was started by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs in a garage on a vision to have a computer for the rest of us. Back then, having a computer was nearly impossible. It wasn't commonly thought of by consumers because the cost was high and the size and form factor were not convenient. But today, because Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs didn't stop pursuing their vision, Apple is valued at close to $1 trillion. Meanwhile, the famous search engine, Google, was also crafted based on Larry Page's idea of exploring mathematical properties of the World Wide Web, understanding its link structure, and creating it in a huge graph. Google was then officially established in 1998. This goes to show that generating that drop-dead idea that's going to start the world on fire is possible, as projected by these innovative companies. When you see something that piques your interest, ask yourself this: what is it about this situation that's special? Then narrow down your focus so you familiarize yourself with the idea. However, before generating your ideas, there are certain steps to be taken into consideration to ensure that your thought processes are in line with the outcome that you want to achieve. These tactics will ensure the effectiveness of generating your profitable offer ideas, which will be discussed in the next module. The first tactic in generating profitable offer ideas is by having a vision. Before starting with any ideas, you must first start with your vision. What's the vision of your company? Your vision is what will be the guiding light for all of your ideas to take shape, because you can come out with as many ideas as you want, but the question is, could you really execute all of them? Well, time as well as resources to execute the idea, all of the ideas, are limited. There are only 24 hours in a day and only so much of financial resource to go around that you can leverage, which means you want those ideas to be congruent and aligned to your vision for the company. You'd go bankrupt and you'd waste a lot of time in executing all of the ideas you have. Therefore, it's crucial to have a vision that you can focus on that will give you a clearer understanding on what it is that you ultimately want to achieve. To help you in generating your vision, try to ask these fundamental questions. What is your why? Why is this business important to you? Why did you start the company in the first place? Why this and not something else? These are all important questions which will give direction to evaluate which idea is most suited to your company. Take a moment, pause the video, and answer these questions. Don't worry about having the best vision because in our previous module, we learned there is no such thing as best. The most vital component is to identify what resonates with you. Thousands of people have taken up their hobbies and turned them into successful businesses. So think of your why now. For instance, Tim and Nina Zagat, who launched the Zagat Surveys, a publishing empire that sells restaurant guides for many major USA and European cities. In the early 1970s, the Zagats were high-priced corporate attorneys who had the passion of dining out. For fun, they created a newsletter which they distributed to close friends to rank popular restaurants in several categories. Each year, the newsletter encompassed more restaurants, and in the end, the couple began charging money for it to reduce their expenses as it became so time-consuming and actually cost them money to produce. Identifying your interest and what resonates with you is important because when you or the company is faced with a tough situation, your passion and commitment to that vision will push or pull you through. So pause this video, take 20 minutes, and answer those questions. Welcome back. Did you get your vision nailed down? It's okay if it's version 1 because version 1, again, is better than version none. In this module, we'll be looking at your target audience in order to give more focus in generating your ideas. With your vision, the next question is whom are you serving? This would be your target audience. If you don't know who you're serving, then you'll be serving everyone, who ultimately makes your company confused, and the allocation of your resources will not be effective or efficient. It only projects lack of focus. You need to know, who are they? Why them? What are their needs and wants? What problems are they facing? This is important because one of the ways you add value is, in most cases, solving problems. How well you solve your customers' problems is in direct relation to how much your target audience will pay. For example, if you're planning to operate a restaurant, focus on the theme of the restaurant. What type of food will you want to serve? And also the price range. This will set your standards as well as setting your niche, and inevitably pull the supposed audience in your favor. When you've gotten a clearer picture of your audience, next is to seek and establish relevance to them. How would your company products or services help to solve their problems? Write down as many ways as you can think of. Those ways are now your prototype of your company products and services. Your next task is to then test it out and seek for proof of concept. You do this by selecting the one product that would solve the biggest problem of your audience. Put it out into the market by doing research and asking your audience if they would buy it, and actually start selling it. Collect the money, and then you create the product. Yes, sell first, collect the money, and then create the product. Now, if you're thinking that that's tricking your customers, well, it isn't. There have been too many companies that create the product first and only then find the target market to sell to, which, I mean, to me, it's insane. These companies would pump thousands of dollars into product research and development only to find out that it's not even what their customers want in the first place. So avoid wasting your resources and time and prove the concept with money, their money. This method is called failing forward fast. The process is this. You want to get an idea quickly that solves the biggest problem of your target audience. Ask if they would buy it, sell it to them, get the money, and with that money, you go to a manufacturer and make the product. Now, of course, you would have settled all the gaps required in between, like actually having a manufacturer on standby, a prototype product, a sales offer, discount for early buyers, and a registered company so that you're legal. If you don't have any of these, then yes, you are involved in a scam, and you should rethink your strategy. The reason for failing forward fast is so you can get the key insights to come out with a version 2 of the product. You also need to sell and collect the money up front, because sometimes what your audience says they'll pay and what they actually pay is different. The moment of truth is when they reach into their pockets and actually hand you the money. That's when you know you've found an initial product worth investing your R&D dollars into. The following tactic to generate profitable offer ideas is to do a brainstorming session on product ideas. Ideally, your brainstorm should be with max 5 people, because too many people dilutes the quality of the brainstorm session. Imagine 30 people in a room doing a brainstorm. Not impossible, but it would definitely be less effective. As you're brainstorming, put the ideas and suggestions into a mind map. This makes it easier for you to refer back to the ideas after the brainstorm. There are 5 simple steps to do an effective brainstorm. The first step is to set the context. This means that the tone and intention of the brainstorm is clarified up front. There's no right or wrong answer, and the focus on the brainstorming session is just to generate ideas. The last thing you want happening is for your people to withhold their ideas for fear of being rejected or ridiculed. Therefore, it's the responsibility of the meeting lead to set the climate for ideas to flow. You may also want to put on some brain music, generally classical songs, to get the creative juices flowing. Steps 2 and 3 are to start the brainstorm and get the ideas flowing. The idea is to turn it into a game, where the game is to imagine that there is a balloon that's being thrown around in the room. Every time someone speaks, the balloon bounces from one person to another, and it keeps afloat every time there is silence. The balloon floats closer to the ground. The moment silence passes too long, the balloon pops, and the process starts again. This makes the session fun and engaging. Step 4 is, when the session is done, ideally after 20 to 30 minutes, evaluate the ideas. Discuss and decide with the team on what is the biggest problem faced by the target audience and which idea solves their problem. After a decision is made, you move on to step 5, where you write out action points. This then moves into the execution phase. Here, you list down all the required actions to bring the idea to life and assign these action points to your team. All action points must have a person in charge, otherwise there'll be a gap in your execution. The previous tactics in generating profitable ideas was designed to create new products. In this module, we'll discuss a way to shorten the idea creation time, and that is to reinvent the wheel. Yes, you must have heard the saying to not reinvent the wheel, which translates into don't be a pioneer and just take something that's already there. Well, that's true. However, when it comes to ideas, you would want to reinvent it. It's not about who did it first, but it's about who does it best. Our society is made to believe that everything is already set and there's no room for innovation. The truth, however, is without entrepreneurs coming in with new ideas or bettering previous processes, the world would be dull and boring. So always remember, it's not who did it first, but who does it best. And if you're fortunate enough to become your own business leader, you'll get an idea of where you need to reinvent yourself so competitors don't catch up on you. Remember to take the leap. Sometimes you just have to jump and take the risk to see if your ideas are worthy in competing in the current market. You'll never know unless you try. For instance, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, started off his days as a student in Harvard University, where his idea eventually gained popularity and then traversed the universe. It's very easy to lose focus when you feel you have odds stacked against you, and competition will always be there, so might as well just do it. We'll have more in-depth discussion regarding this tactic in the next module, so I'll see you there. So this is the second part of how to generate profitable offer ideas tactics, reinventing the wheel specifically. Reinventing in this context means taking an existing idea, stripping it down to its bare components, and then finding its key lever points and making it even better, even faster, and easier. The intention is to question the current ways of solving problems and getting things done. Just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean that this way is the best way. For example, the house rental market has been rather straightforward. You rent a house by entering into a contract with a landlord that decides the duration of rent and cost of rent with other terms and conditions. This has been going on for ages. Then you strip down all the components of this practice, which in this case is the landlord, tenant, rental, terms and conditions, contract, and home. You'll have the individual pieces that you then need to piece it together to create a new picture. So there would be questions like, what if the tenant was the landlord? What if rental was shorter and more affordable? What if I didn't need to book expensive hotels during my holiday? What if I could meet new people along the way? Breaking down these components is exactly what gave birth to Airbnb. If you don't know about it, Airbnb is an online marketplace where people can lease and rent short-term accommodations. This covers a wide range of vacation homes, apartments, homestays, hotels, and hostels. Today, Airbnb is valued at $31 billion. Just amazing. There are many more ways that you can use to generate ideas, but don't get caught up with finding the best way. Just pick one and get it done with. Remember that version 1 is always better than version none.